This thing is a pass on the Cybertron updates. If you can't bash tiny cans on the end, he'd be a fucking wedding car.
I hate this mold.
A shitty plane, a shitty paint, on a really bad deco, crap weapons.
Welcome once again, dutiful students, to the School of Athenia. I am your headmaster, Kit Catastrophe, here to present to you the 8th Chugcratic seminar this very fine April afternoon. We will not be having a full panel today. We are missing two of our esteemed deans, as our Dean of Critique, Runestone, is currently on gardening leave. Literally, he's tending a radish field in Shropshire, I believe. And IdArmed had to take a very urgent leave of medical reasons. He has come down with a bad case of mono-orangeosis. You know, as a customizer, not being able to see the color orange is a pretty big deal for him. So let's all wish him a very speedy recovery. Of course, we are left with the... scraping the bottom of the barrel here, we are left with the Dean of Fabrication, definitely Not Char. Welcome to the stage, my very good friend.
Wow. That's what you think of me, huh?
That's what I'm paid to think of you.
Well, it's good to be here as always. It's a good thing I have tenure.
Don't you know it? Anyway, so today our topic is something that's not quite something we would normally talk about. We are discussing the brand spanking fucking new Transformers Skybound comics from, well, who else? Skybound. I, for one, am very interested in how this episode's going to go, because neither of us have a plan, and, well, really, when have we ever had a plan?
Thank you, Rusty.
Yeah. He's getting fired after today for his interruptions. Anywho, before we get started, as usual, our first slide, thankfully brought to us by the currently radish farming Runestone. Recent purchases. Is there anything that anything recently you've bought that you've liked to give a little spotlight to?
Well, I think you know the thing that we've both gotten. Should we start with that?
Sure. I wasn't going to talk about stuff I pre-ordered, but you go ahead.
Is it pre-ordered?
Well, I mean, it's not here yet.
It's not arrived yet. Fair enough. Me and you, we both got the Toy World War II Barricade.
Yes. On a very, very decent flash sale on TF Safari. I'm very excited for that to come in.
Yeah, underrated site, honestly. I don't see many people talking about it. But it has good prices and decent shipping.
But yeah, the figure itself looks amazing. It's covered in grimy, gruely paint and weathering details, like not in a shitty way like on Siege toys, but like in a way that actually makes it look grounded and realistic. It turns into a we discussed this at length before the stream. It turns into a Volkswagen Kugelwagen. Fuck, I mispronounced it.
Yes, ein Kugelwagen.
And yeah, they also have a hot rod for sale as well. I might get that next week if it's still up. But yeah. As for me, I took advantage of the Target Circle sale and went on a chug spree. I got like 6 things over the course of the week. Oh yeah, it's funny. The grammar Nazis in the chat getting on my ass over mispronouncing a German vehicle name. Anyway, my circle haul would be I got Legacy. Who is it? Dreadwing. I got Chase and someone else from Legacy. I honestly forget, and which is probably not a good sign. And then I also got Studio Series Snarl, Sideswipe, and Sunstreaker. And I gotta say, Sunstreaker for $13 is a brilliant figure. I love it a lot. I would not be singing its praises if I got him for 25. Let's be honest.
Yeah. I will say I am still waiting for that Euro G1 repaint of Skyquake.
Yeah, as are we all. That mold would look brilliant in that bright green and gold and, or rather bronze. Bright
Yes,
pink.
You see my profile picture as a skeleton. That actually signifies how long I've been waiting.
My fucking God, Rusty. Get out. You're done. You're done. You're one and done. This is a fucking disaster and a half already.
Have you fired him?
Yeah. Pack your things. Oh my God, stop it. Okay, this is... Why don't you keep talking about Barricade while I go handle the situation?
All right, sure. I'm very excited to receive Barricade. It looks very nice. I've never had any of the Toy World figures before, but I very much am a fan of the weathering on the figure. Unlike Siege weathering, it does not look like a 10-year-old's first attempt with a dry brush. It looks like it's actually been done by someone who knows about weathering effects and how they actually affect vehicles. It's got very nice patina. I'm genuinely surprised that I got it for so cheap, considering it's very well detailed and it's got a lot of nice paint details. And it will go very nicely with Doragus.
Yes, it will. I was just thinking about it when I bought it. It would make a very, very nice companion piece. Anyway, I figured out the the figure I forgot, which is Legacy Cybertron Starscream, which kind of plays into what I think about him, honestly.
Oh?
I don't like him very much.
Well, that's interesting. I've been hearing a lot of people sing that toy's praises.
I know, and I just simply don't feel the same way. I want to, but I just can't. He feels light and therefore cheap. His accessories especially are very hollow. The blades just simply aren't long enough. They look stubby and not at all cool. And the jet mode is just trash. It looks great on camera, but in person it looks gross and like lumpy.
Mm-hmm.
But it poses like a dream, which is what most people find most important. But I don't know. It's just not what I was after.
Do you think the missing paint details is a significant reason?
Yeah, it definitely doesn't help. It makes him look really bland, especially with the exact shade of that gray plastic. It's not a good look. He needs a lot more red. He needs a lot more black.
Yeah, I mentioned this the first time I saw that toy. It looks good for an update, but to me, it looks like an OSKO of like an old Deluxe figure.
Yeah, perhaps. Oh, Rinstone has messaged us from his Shropshire radish farm. Thank you, Runestone. We always appreciate your presence, even
Getting
if
the
you're
dirt
not.
under those nails, huh?
So now that we're done trashing certain figures and filleting others, why don't we get started on the actual main topic of this episode? That being the Energon universe, or specifically the Transformers title thereof. Runestone made this slide for us. What is the Energon universe? And frankly, the answer is pretty simple. Skybound is I'd say, fourth major comics maker of Transformers after Marvel, Dreamwave, and IDW. IDW recently lost the license just a few years ago, and nothing of value being lost there. And it was picked up by a subsidiary of Image, that being Skybound. They have so far made 4 different titles, starting off with Void Rivals, which was supposed to be like a I guess, a cold open to the whole universe with a surprise appearance of Jetfire at the end of the first issue to really jolt us out of our seats and make us soy face all over. And it was, after a few months, it was followed up by the ongoing Transformers series, which we will cover the first 7 issues of. So there will be spoiler talk in this episode. So if you're not comfortable with that, just, I guess, plug your ears and say la 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 for the next 3 hours or so. And then it was quickly followed up by 2 G.I. Joe miniseries. They will be introducing G.I. Joe into the universe with the Duke and Cobra Commanders miniseries, which at some point we might do some extracurriculars about if we ever get in the mood.
So to be clear, this is not the cartoon that took place between Cybertron and Armada.
Yes, that is correct.
So no power links.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't say it's off the table, but considering how G1 everything is, I wouldn't hold my breath. Yes, BioDragon 882, you bring up a very good point in the chat. At least G.I. Joe isn't being stapled on like other universes.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're really building this crossover from the ground up, which is a very deep departure from previous takes on this. I'm not very familiar with prior G.I. Joe and Transformers crossovers, but I understand that none of them were really well received. Whereas, spoiler alert for any potential extracurriculars, but I do really enjoy how at least G.I. Joe is being integrated into this. I have some thoughts on Cobra Commander we'll get to at some point, but we'll see how the miniseries ends first before I really make an opinion on it.
Yes, I think if I was going to do a G.I. Joe Transformers crossover, this is how you would do it. You would have them exist in the same universe, and you would have it so that things cross over occasionally pretty regularly. You wouldn't just have it so that you have one event that happens, all of a sudden G.I. Joe exists in this universe. They just haven't showed up at any point before, but now G.I. Joe shows up because for whatever reason. Yeah.
Yes, not to get too off topic here, but since we're on this slide, the Transformers are directly responsible, or rather indirectly responsible, for the creation of both G.I. Joe and Cobra. To spoil a little bit, in issue number 2, the character we will know as Duke has a run-in with Starscream that really affects him deeply. And in Cobra Commander, we'll see that Cobra is aware of Energon and wants to use it to make weapons.
He's pulling a Mr. Sumdac.
Yes. And he's not the only one, too, considering we have a Destro miniseries coming out in a couple months' time. But the one that we're really glossing over here, I'd say, is Void Rivals, which, honestly, outside of issue number 1 and a few cameo appearances by Shockwave and the Quintessons, doesn't really have all that much to do with Transformers just yet. It's just more like a sci-fi story that's just happens to be set in the Transformers universe, which I'm not sure is the best way to go about it, but it's not the worst way to go about it either. We'll just have to. It is the second, or rather the first ongoing series. So there's plenty of room for more crossing over in the future. So we'll just have to see how that story goes. We're only 8 issues into that as well. We might talk about that at some point then too. So, Char, besides, I know you're up to date on Transformers. Have you read any of the other series, the Void Rivals or the 2 G.I. Joe miniseries?
I have not yet read. I have not read Void Rivals because it didn't seem that interesting, and I have not read Cobra Commander either. Though Cobra Commander does seem more interesting.
Gotcha.
To me.
If I can just spout my opinion into the ether, if I had to rank them, of course, I'd put Transformers at the top because, let's face it, it's the thing I'm most into. It's the only reason I bought any of the others. Then I would put Duke in second, Void Rivals in third, mostly because it just doesn't really have anything to do with it. But it is pretty funny sometimes. And I'd put Cobra Commander in last just because I don't know, I just don't get it. It's a pretty weak answer, but it is what it is. So Void Rivals is sort of interesting, but you know, I could take it or leave it. Shall we move on to the actual meat and potatoes of this episode then? All right. So basically, we had a little bit of trouble figuring out the best way to discuss like actual media, and like first we were gonna just give general thoughts about the series, what we liked, what we didn't, what we'd want to see, what we'd want to see less of. But I don't know, it just felt a little too broad. So we're only looking at 7 issues, and future episodes will probably be only looking at 6 issues or fewer. So what we're going to do is just go issue by issue and just give a little brief overview of each, and just talk about what we're most interested in from the story so far.
Yeah, we're stooping to the level of those movie explain channels you keep seeing on shorts. All we need is the AI voice.
All right. So yeah, let's move on to Uncharted Territory with issue number 1, Arrival to Earth. None of these issues have names. I just made little quippy nicknames for them. This issue is the one where we are basically introduced to everyone. We get introduced to everyone's to Spike and Carly and their tragic backstories, and it really sets the tone for the whole series going forward. Let me just pull out my issue. I have them all in physical copies. Like,
so yeah, I heard that. So the thing that struck me about this issue is whoever's writing this is really fucking tired of Bumblebee.
Yeah. Yeah, he gets murked like 2/3 of the way through.
He doesn't even have a speaking role.
Yeah. So basically it's sort of like the very first episode of the cartoon, where you know, the Autobots and the Decepticons are like crash landed in the Ark, and they're all conked out for God knows how long. I think in Void Rivals, Jetfire mentions it's only been like 1,000 years or so, which is a very nice change of pace from the norm, because I am so sick of Transformers taking place over millions of years. Like, the war would be over by the time they got back to Cybertron. 1,000 years, they're robots that basically live for a really long time. I can believe that.
Yeah. I mean, in human terms, there's been 100-year wars, so 1,000-year war for a robot doesn't sound that out of the question.
Yeah. Yeah, the idea is just it's been going on for like a lifetime or so. And Jetfire, in Void Rivals, we see that he's been just stranded on some asteroid for a few centuries longer than that, so he doesn't even know the war started. So of course, when he reaches the Ark, the first person he revives is his good buddy Starscream, who immediately kills Bumblebee and then tries to kill Jetfire. So talk about rewarding loyalty.
It is quite funny. We're going to get into this later, but this version of Starscream is one of the most ruthless incarnations.
Oh yes, I think this is one of the best takes on Starscream that there's ever been, because like he actually sort of gets to lead the Decepticons, but we'll soon see that he should really be careful what he wishes for, and he really doesn't understand the same things that Megatron understands about leadership.
Yeah. I mean, I will say, when it comes to interpretations of Starscream, I'm in the mind that you should either lean in this direction or lean in the Armada Starscream direction. One of the two. Don't half-arse it.
Yes, I perfectly agree. BioDragon 882 suggests that he's pretty sure the Bumblebee thing was a Hasbro thing because they recognize he's been overplayed. I disagree, because in the lead up to the reveal of this, one of the main creative leads, I forget whom, specifically pointed out that Cliffjumper was going to be in the cast because he's just one of his favorite characters. He picked like 4 Autobots and 4 Decepticons that he wanted to be in the main cast, and he picked Cliffjumper over Bumblebee, and of course just killed Bumblebee just because he's a recognizable face and it's, you know, shock value and stuff. As I have a lot to talk about regarding Cliffjumper later on, so we'll get to that eventually. Shall we talk about the human characters for a little bit?
Sure.
So, the very beginning of this issue, really, you get to you get to meet Sparky, which is basically this universe's version of Sparkplug, Spike's dad, and there's this theme that's like, or rather this refrain that keeps popping up throughout the series that starts on the very first page where it juxtaposes Sparky's past with Optimus Prime's past and the various traumas that they went through and how similar they are. And it really foreshadows that there's going to be some sort of like deep, very deep connection between these two characters. I have a lot more to say about it later on. I keep saying that, but these issues, I don't really appreciate this until like I get them all and just read them back to back. But these issues really do build on top of each other in a way that you just don't really get just reading them one at a time each month. But just looking back through these, I can really see how certain choices in storytelling get carried through even up through the most recent issue, number 7, half a year later. So once again, you'll get tired of me saying we'll talk about it more later, but I promise there will be some big payoffs regarding this.
Shall we talk about the 2 younger characters?
Yes. I was about to bring up Spike and Carly. We see that Spike is Sparky's younger son. He had an older son named I believe Jimmy, who died in basically the Challenger explosion, and and there's a lot of deep trauma about them, about that with both of them, and we see that there's conflict between them because Spike wants to basically follow in his brother's footsteps and be an astronomer and be an astronaut and stuff like that. And, you know, Sparkplug is obviously worried that he's going to lose both of his sons. And so he's disapproving of his son's interest. And of course that makes Spike resent his father a little bit. So there's a real strained relationship between these two that I think is a really good place to start our characters. Like, and you get all of this in just like a page and a half. Like, there's just so much depth of storytelling here that I really love. They handled this pretty fucking well.
Fuck, you have way more thoughts about it than I do. Yeah, I mean, I agree. Like, there's this aspect of Sparky being protective of Spike because he's already lost a son, and we never see the mother. So
yeah, I guess it's implied that Sparky is a single parent. As actually, I'm not sure if Carly has 1 or 2 parents. But
we never see, but we never really see, so we wouldn't know.
Yeah. So after that, Carly is waiting for Spike outside the bar where he found his dad, and I honestly don't really have a lot to say about Carly in this first issue. She's just, general love interest. They're very good friends. They care about each other. They obviously have a connection.
I will say, very often characters like Carly end up being quite annoying. This is one of those situations where they aren't, and I appreciate that.
Yeah, and to sort of, I guess, bury the lead here, Carly, I believe, ends up being the main human character as the arc progresses. It. I really hate this phrase, but it subverts our expectations, if you will, where they make Carly the main character. I wanted to talk about this later, but instead of Spike and Bumblebee being the main characters in this, it's Carly and Cliffjumper, and I'm pretty positive about that change. It makes it different enough from the G1 cartoon to make it feel fresh. Spike's still there. He still does stuff. He's like there's nothing wrong with any of these characters, really.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like it's just it doesn't feel like it's just retracing the steps of the original cartoon, which I appreciate, because one thing I was apprehensive about when the comic started was, okay, is this just going to be fucking is this just going to be a recap of the pilot miniseries?
Yeah. And it sort of is, in that some of the same beats still happen, except obviously this time they end up getting stuck in the arc by mistake, and they witness the Transformers being resurrected, and of course that scene where Starscream gets resurrected, they see him kill Bumblebee, and then of course Optimus Prime gets revived. And shall we talk about the first action set piece now? The fight between Optimus and Starscream?
Oh, sure.
I really gotta say, the action and the fight scenes are like really cool. I will admit I am very, very new to comics. This is the first, like, the Skybound series are the first that I'm really giving a shot at. And I have to say the action is pretty easy to follow, and really, really titillates the imagination, I'd say.
As someone with a little bit more experience in comics, like a little bit, I like the action scenes as well. They feel, this will come up later on as well, but they feel very visceral. They feel like if the Bayverse movies were a comic, in a good way.
Yes. But my praise lies more in just, it's so easy to just imagine how these characters are moving in real space for me, and how they're actually fighting with each other. And so as the fight progresses, more and more characters get revived, namely Ratchet, Soundwave, and Skywarp, and they start just going at it. Ratchet starts putting everyone in the trailer to get them out of there. And then the humans get involved, because they obviously see that Prime is fighting for what's right, and they have to help him, because otherwise the bad guys will win. So they help get him his gun, and the humans are useful to the Transformers from issue 1. I like that.
Yep.
They make themselves involved without necessarily being put in harm's way. I mean, of course it's still dangerous to be there, but it's not like they immediately get like, oh, help me, Optimus.
They make themselves useful in a way that makes sense.
Yeah.
And also not in a way that gets in the way of the Transformers, which, let's be honest, we're all here to see.
Yeah. Like Optimus picks them up and carries them out because that's the only way to get them out, otherwise they die in an explosion or something. It's not like they're put in precarious situations just for the hell of it. And then we get to see them transform for the first time, and like it was a little prescient that you mentioned the Bayverse, because the, I guess, interpretation of these comic runners is that they do a sort of Bayverse transformation where they just fragment themselves into billions of little parts that come back together. which I think is honestly a pretty cool touch.
I quite like it. It kind of makes the whole one. It makes the fact that their robot modes have very geometric shapes, but then they have realistic looking alt modes, makes it feel more believable, so to say.
Yes.
As opposed to the G1 show where they just kind of shapeshift. The bits just kind of change size and change proportions to get into the general shape of the vehicle.
Yes. And so the Autobots end up retreating to a quarry, which they'll use as a base for the next few issues. And then the story cuts back to the arc where the Decepticons have won, but it's a bit of a Pyrrhic victory because they really don't have very much in the way of resources. And so they go out to a power plant where both Spike and Carly's dads are working. And here we see the beginnings of Starscream's bloodlust, because in the very final panel of the whole issue, we see Starscream just squash the life out of Carly's dad.
He squashes that shit like a fucking gusher, man.
Yeah. I know it's just gonna continue in the next few issues, but do you have any preliminary thoughts on just how sadistic Starscream is in this take? How much joy and sexual energy he gets from squishing humans?
Whoa.
Look at his face in that final panel and tell me he's not getting off to it.
I'd think that's more mirth, but okay.
Now that's a quote for Runestone to put in.
Yeah. I appreciate it. I appreciate the way Starscream's depicted in it, just being so fucking sadistic. Like he doesn't even consider. He does not even approach considering humans people. He doesn't even think twice about it. To him they're just little squishy things that run around. It's like a kid squishing a bug, but even less than that, because some kids do feel bad about that. You know what I mean?
I sure as fuck didn't. I remember seeking out snails in the backyard to squish with my tricycle.
Jesus.
I liked the noise they made.
I always felt really bad if ever I stepped on a snail. Well, we know what factions we'd be on.
I mean, my logo is purple. I am a Decepticon.
Fair enough.
But yeah, that brings a wrap on the first issue. Would you like to give any overall thoughts on it before we move on?
I like it a lot. It sets a precedent for the comic being very lethal, if you know what I mean.
Yes. The tone setting here is just simply superb. And it only gets better from here.
And what I like about it, it's not fake either. It's not like Prime where they just kill off one character in the first episode and then it's just done.
Yes, as we'll see, this Starscream thing is going to be a pattern here.
Yeah,
it's a shtick.
I appreciate the precedent this sets, where it feels like everyone is in peril. It feels like people are it feels like the characters are actively trying to kill each other, which you don't really get the sense of in many cartoons because, well, you can't.
Yeah, there's a definite feeling of stakes here, but later on, I would like to see that those stakes do get a little dulled, because something will happen to Skywarp, but later on, and it seems like it could be fixed if the Decepticons get to him and put the time into it, but it doesn't seem like, oh, that's just Skywarp's fate now.
I mean, one thing I do want to say is that with the precedent they are setting right now, one wonders how long is this comic going to go for? Because what happens when it's like, a couple years down the line, they want to make a sub series, they want to have this character in the show. Oh wait, they got killed off in the first, off in the first miniseries.
Yes, that actually brings us to one of our audience Q&A questions from Baron Harkinex. Do you have any thoughts on the potential longevity of the series? The turnover rate of these characters is thrilling, but do you think it's sustainable? And honestly, so far as the robot characters are concerned, I don't see why many of them can't be brought back in some form, like Skywarp. Just to skip ahead a little, Skywarp gets ripped apart by the Decepticons to sort of retrofit Teletran 1 and make it functional. And in the most recent issue, the Autobots are sort of having to work around that because he's not entirely there, but he's definitely like there enough to not be cooperative. So I think that like there is potential for the Decepticons to like retrieve him and fix him and stuff. Reflector shows up as a high and die in one issue, and he'll probably show up again. Megatron is currently down for the count, as we'll soon see, but he's gonna come back. Stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, I do wonder, if characters do start coming back, how much is it going to affect the stake? Because it's like, oh, if someone dies, oh, the fucking robot, they can bring it back,
Yeah. But on the bright side, that does mean we can get some more gruesome body horror without really affecting the status quo.
Yeah. I will say, something about this comic that I appreciate is there is a subtle amount of body horror in this.
Yes.
Robot body horror, but still.
Yeah, it's a turn that I really, really like. I love me some good body horror. So it's nice to see it in some characters that can actually withstand that body horror.
Yeah.
Speaking of organisms being ripped out of shape, shall we move on to issue number 2?
Sure.
Yeah, this issue is the one where Optimus steps on a deer.
Me when I step on a slug.
This episode, or rather this issue, begins with Optimus enjoying the beauty of the natural world and then just immediately fucking it up by killing a deer with his own foot and just sort of turning it into spaghetti. And he grieves for it, which really shows the depth of his character, his sense of morality, I guess. And Spike is there, and he immediately tries to tell him, like you didn't do anything wrong. You didn't know. It's not your fault. The accident's been 5 years ago. You can let us go. And they really get to talking about what it means to be alien and stuff. And there's this one line from this scene, I think at the end of the scene. Spike is telling the story about his mom, and Prime asks, "What is mom?" And Spike says, "A mother, mom and dad." And Optimus says, "These words are foreign to me." And Spike says, "Well, my mom and dad, they made me, I guess. This is tough to explain, family." And Prime says, "Family, that is a concept I know well," which
it's interesting.
I love that.
I do
love that line.
I do appreciate it, because something that doesn't really... I can only think of one Transformers fiction that really got into two. I can think of two Transformers fictions that sort of got into the nature of how Transformers come to be and how that affects their society. One was IDW, to mixed results, and the other was Marvel, also to mixed results.
Yeah, there's never really been a very what's the word, satisfying answer for some of these questions, but so far I think Skybound have been riding that line pretty well.
Yeah,
They're being purposefully vague about it. I mean, we get later on we have Cliffjumper tell Carly that Starscream killed his entire clan, but we don't really know what that means in terms of Transformers.
We also get RC talking about clans as well.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I think Cliffjumper and RC might be from the same clan and be the only survivors. I'm not sure.
They haven't specified if they are from the same clan, but we do know that both of their respective clans were wiped out.
Yes. Oh yeah, Runestone brings up Earthspark. Neither of us have watched Earthspark, so
yeah,
of course we wouldn't bring that up. But yeah, this was a very, very nice opening to the second issue. It's a very good character moment, and it's really one of the things that sold me on this series. It's just how you expect Optimus Prime to act. It's like how everyone remembers Prime from the cartoon. You know?
Yeah.
He's tender, he's caring, but he's also like really strong.
And I'm not sure if we like entirely seen it in yet, but he doesn't feel entirely stoic, if you know what I mean. Like, he is stoic, but he's not like distant, which was a problem I always had with the Bayverse movies, was that, you know, Optimus Prime was Optimus Prime, and, you know, obviously Peter Cullen, goated voice actor and all that, but he never really got to you know, crack any jokes or anything like that. And I don't want him to be a fucking Marvel character or anything like that. But you know what I mean? Like, in the original cartoon, he used to taunt Megatron when he fought him and stuff like that.
Yeah. But it's just nice seeing Optimus Prime. He's barely holding back his grief here. Like he's getting a chance to just sort of let himself feel, you know? Because I get the feeling that he has to be stoic for a lot of the time, but it's moments like this where he can just really, I guess, let some of that weight off of his shoulders.
Yeah. No, I see that as well.
I love that I love that balance that they're achieving here with this scene. And shortly thereafter, we get Cliffjumper fully introduced to the series, and he's legitimately frightened of Spike and Carly. But of course, Carly's sort of domineering personality over him makes him calm down, and they begin their friendship, which, as I've said earlier, I think will parallel and sort of play off our expectations of what a friendship between Spike and Bumblebee would have been.
I will say, you know, if you came to a planet and it was inhabited by what are effectively slug creatures to us, you'd think it was gross. You'd think it was gross as well.
Yes. Yeah, I would. I'd squish them too. Let's see what else happens in this issue. Oh, yes. G.I. Joe happens.
Yes.
Halfway through the issue, we get Starscream confronting some American jets.
It's an FA-18.
Thank you. And he just straight up murders one with a big old clap.
Okay.
Just claps in between his hands.
Can I get kind of autistic for a second?
You never stopped.
Can I let my autism go for a second?
Yes.
Okay. All right. This is not like a proper criticism because they don't need to be super realistic, but this is just my autism speaking. There's a maneuver that the F-18 pulls where it pulls up and slows down. That is called
Cobra something?
Yes, Cobra. It's a Cobra. It pulls a Cobra. F-18s can't Cobra. That frustrated me. F-18s can't Cobra because they don't have thrust vectoring. There are basically where the whole plane, where you like turn the entire plane into an air brake. It's a cool scene, but it set me off. It set me off because F-18s aren't built for maneuverability. They're built to carry a shit ton of weapons and be deployable from carriers. That's their main thing.
Yes.
Another thing. Why is an F-18 patrolling so far inland? It's a carrier. It's a naval flight. It's a fleet protection aircraft. Okay. I'm done. I promise I'm done.
It's just so that we have a cool scene for Starscream to get into.
No, I get
someone.
that, but you could have used any other fighter. You could have used like an appropriate. You could have used an appropriate twin-seater fighter craft. You could have used an F-15. You could have used an F-15, and it would have been a mirror match.
At any rate,
I'll stop.
No, I just really don't know how to segue out of that. At any rate, the I guess co-pilot of the craft ends up just getting splattered by Starscream, and we find out that the call sign of the pilot is Duke from G.I. Joe fame. And if we ever cover the Duke miniseries, we'll see that this particular incident really, really got under his skin, because who wouldn't that do it to?
Yeah.
I have to say, it's a really good inciting action for.
It feels like it's setting up.
That.
It feels like it's setting up good drama for the eventual crossover.
Yes.
Because
even at this point, Duke doesn't know about the Autobots. He just thinks that all he knows is that there's killer robots out there. He doesn't know where they're from, what they're doing, stuff like that.
Can I say one more thing about Starscream's brutality and the general brutality of the Decepticons?
Yes.
I'm not sure if you're familiar, Kit, but it honestly kind of makes me think of the homunculus from Full Metal Alchemist in just the level of sadism towards humans that they have, and just the lack of the thing I really like is they feel like an unstoppable force in a way. They just feel like humans are just so outmatched that there's just nothing you can do, and they're really, and that comes across very well. And that kind of reminded me of the homunculus from Full Metal Alchemist, because that portrayed that very well as well.
It's sort of reminiscent of the original 2007 film as well, where the humans' military might were just almost helpless against the Decepticons, and it was just by chance that they found an advantage.
I mean, you say that, but wasn't Blackout got by being shot in the dick by a human soldier?
Yeah, but he had help. I'm referring specifically to the thing where they couldn't at the Soxent base in Qatar, they couldn't do anything to him. But they only learned their weakness after fighting Scorponok and just using some high caliber sabot rounds by chance.
What the fuck is this? Can I? There's no such thing as a fucking saber round.
Maybe when we do an episode on the 2007 movie.
Well, there is a saber round, but they aren't on aircraft, to my knowledge. Okay, I'll stop.
All right,
tank round. Okay.
The issue ends with Carly going home and Carly going home and trying to find her dad, but she finds Sparky in her house, just fucking loaded up to the gills with weapons, and breaking the news to her that her dad was murked by a giant killer robot. And that brings us into issue number 3, which, spoiler alert, is the issue that sold me on the whole run in general. I loved issues 1 and 2, but issue 3 was the one that actually got me to buy these things. I was like, okay, yeah, I'm in this. I'm in this.
Can I say one thing about the conversation that's happening in the comments right now about Grindor?
Yeah.
Okay, something interesting about Grindor is he is actually different, because he turns into a different kind of helicopter than the original Blackout. It's like a bigger version of the helicopter that Blackout turns into. It's like a C something and then a C something else, as in
Yeah, the
SCA.
Blackout turns into a Pavlo, and Grindor turns into a Sea Stallion.
Thank you.
Is it a Super Stallion?
It's a Super Stallion.
Yes. Yeah, he turns into a Super Stallion. And the Super Stallion, I believe, also has an extra blade. At least
I
that's
don't
what
know
I
that,
found
but
when I did. That's what I found when I did my research for the Studio Series figure.
I wouldn't know that, but I believe it.
Yeah. So moving on to issue 3, we pick up right where issue 2 leaves off, and Laserbeak crashes through Carly's house and tries to kill them both. And of course, Cliffjumper is there to save the day, which only really helps solidify his friendship with Carly. But of course, Sparky's there. He doesn't trust him and just shoots him in the head.
Oh,
which does nothing.
Yeah, okay, this issue. Fucking okay. So this issue sold you on it, right?
Yes.
Okay, this issue was actually kind of frustrating for me.
What's that?
We'll get into it when the scene comes up.
Gotcha. Side little nitpick, why the hell does Sparky just own a Japanese police car?
Why
he
not?
owns the car that Prowl is going to use for his alt mode. Why?
That is something. No, is it his car or is it just a police car that he got?
Why would he have just taken a police car?
I think because he was in the police car and then the police officer got killed and he drove away in the police car. I think that's what happened.
Oh, let me keep talking while I do a little research on
I will
this.
say that was a funny thing. I was like, why the hell is this small town in America using Japanese style police cars with Japanese markings?
Yes, you are correct. That is what happened. But yeah, the point still stands. Why are Japanese police cars doing in America?
Maybe they got them on import. Maybe they just had a great deal. Hey, you can get great deals on stuff from Japan.
True. But yeah, so Sparky sort of, I guess, gets into contact with his drinking buddies or whatever, and they all arm themselves in preparation for a conflict against the killer robots. Cliffjumper tries to talk to him, but they just shoot him again, and it again does nothing. I don't know why they didn't learn. And then Skywarp shows up and tries fucking everyone up, and
Okay, this fucking scene. Can I say why this scene actually frustrates me?
Go ahead. My mouth is getting dry.
Okay, so this fucking scene. It's understandable that the humans are think that the robots are dangerous, and so they don't hesitate to shoot, Cliffjumper when he jumps in. That's fine. I get that. I understand that. What frustrates me is when Skywarp pulls up, and then he starts actively targeting the humans and actively killing them and actively destroying things. And then we see Cliffjumper explicitly try and stop him. Attempt to prevent him from doing harm. All this shit, saying I'm protecting the humans. It is me, a enemy faction to you who is in favor of the humans. I am here. And then the humans just go, I don't care which one's which. I'm just going to shoot both of them. And it's like,
it's a very common and very tiring trope in Transformers media.
It's a really annoying trope in a bunch of media. It's not just Transformers.
Yeah, I don't have any defense for that. I'm 100% on your side.
It's just, it's very frustrating.
Yeah, but
man is just so evil. Man is so evil and so quick to violence.
We have Skywarp threaten Carly and Cliffjumper, and then we have Optimus Prime save the day, and then we get probably, I think, still the best action scene in the whole series so far. Just this amazing fight between Skywarp and Optimus Prime, where Skywarp gets to use his powers to just fuck him up, and we get like some amazing wrestling moves from Prime, and then that brilliant shot. I included it on this slide of Optimus just slinging out his Energon axe, where he's like really lit up, all moody.
Honestly, the use of light in this is great. The dark background, it's not realistic at all, but it's just so good. You get that you get that contrast, the light and the dark. That is a great panel.
Yeah, I gotta say they really the artists for this series are all about mood lighting for every panel that they need to, at least, and I much prefer like having everything have like the perfect lighting for the mood than the perfect lighting for realism.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I want my comics to look cool, and this comic looks cool. And then, of course, before Optimus is able to actually do some damage to Skywarp with his axe, he gets his elbow blown out by a rocket launcher.
Ugh.
And then Skywarp uses the opening to fire on him with his null rays, and then they both sort of get lit up by some machine gun fire, and then of course Spike runs out onto the field, and as we see in that last panel, he gets shot through the gut, and obviously we see Sparky sort of lose it, that his little boy's gotten shot, and it's all his fault. But Optimus doesn't hesitate to get the advantage on Skywarp and fucking rips his own arm off in a double-page spread. That's like if it weren't for something that happens in like the next issue, like, or maybe the issue after that. No, the next issue. If it weren't for something that happens in the next issue, this would be one of the most iconic panels, I think.
Honestly, Garrett brought it up, but this reminds me a lot of that one scene from Mobile Suit Gundam 08th MS Team with the fight between the Easy 8 Gundam and the Goof Custom, where basically the same thing happens. The arm gets disabled, and the pilot of the Easy 8 pulls it off and uses a bludgeoning weapon against the Goof.
Yeah, I
gotta show you that after the stream.
There's also a scene from Revenge of the Fallen where after the forest fight, Megatron and Starscream are on top of that building.
Oh, I remember
and
that as well.
Starscream had his arm ripped off in the fight, and Megatron beats him over the head with Starscream's own arm.
Yeah, I remember that scene. I was just thinking that scene as well.
But and he starts Optimus starts pinwheeling his own severed arm and just starts going General Grievous style on Skywarp. But then he finally sees Spike bleeding out in the snow, and he's instantly reminded of the deer, and that moment is really what just this entire page is what really sold me on the series. Just I don't know, just that Flash comparison, and he's like, oh, this is exactly like the other thing. And you see Sparky run up to him, tears in his eyes, telling him not to touch.
As well.
Yeah, telling him not to touch his boy, and then Prime transforms and says, "I'm gonna save him," and that's how the issue ends. And I gotta say, I still think this might be the best issue in the whole series so far.
I think the stuff earlier in the issue frustrates me, but it is that moment for sure is a great moment in the series.
Yes, it was brilliant.
I would have preferred if Sparkplug had a little bit of sense, and Spike got shot when they were opening up specifically on Skywarp, and it was more like that. But I get it. It's a trope.
I'm not even sure Sparky knew that Spike was there until he saw him got shot. And so
No, I
he's
know,
just straight up freaking out.
yeah, exactly. So yeah, he didn't notice. That's fine. I get that 100%. I'm just saying it was just kind of annoying. It kind of frustrated me that even by that point the humans hadn't figured out, oh wait, there's two sides of this and one of them appears to be pro-human.
Yeah. Oh, Garrett, yeah, Prime did hit Starscream with his own arm, but Megatron did too. He got it from both of them.
Man, what is it with Seekers being hit with disembodied arms?
It's just part of the job.
It's a pattern now. It's happened 3 times.
Can we talk a moment about Starscream's leadership dynamic? We get to explore it for about a page or so in this issue, and Soundwave is very not happy with how Starscream is running things, but he's not yet in a position to do anything about it. Starscream's still the strongest, and he's very insecure about being compared to Megatron. This is, I think, the second issue where he says, "Do not say his name."
It kind of makes me think of a fucking soy jack where it's like, I am the leader of the Decepticons. Why? Because, just because I am. I just am, okay? Oh fuck.
And we just. But yeah, Starscream's really making enemies out of the Decepticons, and like I alluded to earlier, he doesn't have what it takes to lead, but he doesn't know that yet.
Yeah, Starscream, he's not. It's very clear that the Decepticons, for whatever reason, like Megatron, and he is very aware of the fact that he is not.
Or if not like him, at least respect him.
Yeah, respect him. Or, yeah. It's like, he clearly does not have the charisma that Megatron had.
Yeah, absolutely. He's just there because he was the first one who was revived.
And probably because he was planning this for ages. Not this specific thing, but planning to be the successor to Megatron in some form or the other. He's like, this is my shot, might as well take it.
I won't spoil anything about Megatron's whereabouts, but we do know where he is at this point, but we still don't know how he got there. So that still remains a pretty big mystery.
We call him NBE01.
Yeah, say that again, but in Chris Latta's voice.
Wait, is Chris Latta Agent Simmons?
No, he was Cobra Commander.
Oh, I don't think I can do that without embarrassing myself.
It's okay. We're only live in front of 4 people.
Oh, we call him NBE01.
Amazing. Runestone's going to clip that for the next episode, by the way.
I accept any job application. I accept any job offers by email if you want to hire me. As a voice actor.
But moving on to issue number 4. Listen, I have to start talking about it now because it's on the slide. But this next issue has the single most iconic image in the entire run, and that is Optimus Prime with the fusion cannon.
Yeah,
I know we're putting the cart before the horse here, but we really got to talk about it. We can't just ignore the elephant in the room.
I mean, it basically became a meme.
Yeah.
At least in the TF fandom, it became a meme.
Yeah. I've seen so many pictures of people just putting their Megatron arms onto their Optimus toys.
There's already 3P companies making like versions of it.
They knew what they were doing with this panel. Yeah, they really cooked with it.
I mean, it's something so striking. It's such an important part of Megatron's silhouette on Optimus Prime.
Yeah. I have to say, when I saw this page for the first time, my jaw dropped. I was like, this is the coolest shit that's happened in a long time in Transformers.
Have you ever seen the one where someone did Optimus Primal with Beast Wars Megatron's arm?
Yes, that was pretty funny. I enjoyed that a lot.
Yeah. I mean, it works in the same way as well, because like the Tyrannosaurus head is such an important part of his silhouette as well.
Yeah. But yeah, this is probably already up there with like the cover of Marvel G1 number 5 in terms of like the most iconic images in Transformers history.
That was the Are All Dead cover, right?
Yes, yes.
That was that early into the series?
Yeah, it was the first issue of the ongoing.
Damn.
Yeah.
That fucking comic. Whenever I hear about the Marvel comics, it's oh yeah, 50 different fucking characters died in one issue.
Yeah. I haven't. I only have a couple issues myself, and I don't have anyone where anyone who has a toy dies. The only ones where anyone dies are the issues with fucking Straxus, where it's like, you know, Scrounge gets melted and then Straxus explodes.
I will say, speaking of the Marvel comics, real quick, the way they draw the faces in the Marvel comics honestly makes me think of fucking. I hate to bring it up again, but it reminds me of fucking Soy Jacks, the way they draw the faces. They have such human faces with like visible cheekbones. It looks it looks like people cosplaying Transformers.
Yeah. And it gets worse about that the longer it goes on. The earlier issues were pretty okay with that, but yeah, let's give a little context to what's going on in that final panel. So, the Optimus was able to, you know, the Autobots were able to make the Skywarp go to take a nap, and he runs off to the hospital with Spike and Sparky, and of course Cliffjumper and Carly chase after them because Optimus is being pursued by Starscream, and they do their best to run interference, and Optimus is able to get him to a hospital, but of course Starscream's right on their heels, so he starts blowing up the fucking hospitals, and then he looks inside and he's like, and he says, "This, hold on, let me pull my Starscream voice. This is where they fix the squishy ones. Is that right? You're so pathetic, I can't even believe it. You bring these ants to a place to get repaired?" And then he blows up the hospital.
I'm sorry, Kit, you sound like the potion seller.
Fuck. So yeah, he blows up the hospital and they have to operate him with like no power and everything on fire and shit. Because he just can't resist himself. And then we get introduced to Jazz. He shows up. He transforms and fights Soundwave for a bit. And Ratchet shows up as well. And they're able to drive off Soundwave and Starscream because it's 4 against 2. 4 against 3 if you count Laserbeak. But, you know, the hospital's in shambles. So they're doing what they can. They have him on... God, it's been so long since I've been made to watch Grey's Anatomy. I don't know what those squishy bags they use to make people breathe are called, but you know what I'm talking about. They have to use those.
Respirators?
I guess so, but those usually refer to the machines. But we see things are pretty bleak for Spike, and he's basically dead. And then Optimus uses the Matrix in issue number 4 to give life to Spike, and it technically works, but he's in a really bad place still, and it'll probably take a while for him to fully recover. And then we get skipping over a little cutaway to back to the arc. Optimus and Sparky finally sort of, I guess, clear the air between them, and there's, I guess, an accord now between the two of them. They come to an understanding. So it's good that didn't take very long to resolve.
Yeah, I'm glad they didn't go the whole humans are so evil and bigoted. They can't appreciate these peaceful Autobots shit. Like, Nah. The human like Spike's a bro with Optimus Prime for now, and that very quickly, and I appreciate that. We can
Yeah.
have the whole human hates Transformers thing later when the Duke crossover inevitably happens.
Yeah, and he'll probably come around pretty fast as well.
Maybe. I mean, they did kill his best friend.
Yeah, but that was Starscream.
Well, yeah. But there wasn't any Transformer that saved any of his friends, so it's so far his experience with the Transformers has been 100% negative. So
Yeah, but I'm saying it'll probably take only as much as it did for Sparky to trust them.
we'll see. Another thing, just before we continue, I really like the scene with Jazz. I really liked the fight scene. To me, you know what? In my head, I was hearing the fucking G1 smashing effects that they had in the cartoon. I can't make the noise with my mouth, but you know where they used to have like the clunky metal sounds whenever a Transformer got knocked over or smashed.
Yes, I know.
I was reading that those panels, and I was hearing those sounds in my head. So
it's a very short scene too. He just sort of body slams Soundwave, and that's basically it. And then they run off.
I suppose he's number 2 for a reason.
Yeah. Then they run off the Decepticons, and we get that other iconic panel of Cliff Jumper. He doesn't have a gun, so he's just flipping them off. It's a very characterful moment for him, and we also got a lot of upgrade kit parts for that. Someone designed some 3D printed bird flipping hands for Cliff Jumper.
Does Cliff Jumper flipping people off imply the existence of archers in Cybertron's history?
I mean, maybe. Transformers using bows isn't exactly unheard of.
Maybe. Sorry, I entirely cut you off.
No, I was just going to move on to that cutaway I skipped over.
Yes.
Decepticons go back to the Ark after the fight, and, Soundwave is saying that they need to fix Skywarp, but Starscream's saying that they need to fix themselves first. And then they turn on Skywarp and start ripping him apart in silhouette. And
yeah,
that's probably the darkest thing that's happened so far in the series.
Yeah, I mean, once again, it's that body horror aspect they're bringing in.
You ever see that? Source filmmaker video, "How to Climb a Tree" by Tipsy Duck?
No.
Oh, it's this video where these 3 scouts are like they're kids and they're climbing a tree, and it's like a happy-go-lucky thing. But then one of them breaks their leg, and the tone shifts very drastically. And one of them's like, "What would our fathers say if they found out we were climbing trees without their permission? We might end up with broken legs of our own. A 3-legged puppy is not a happy puppy." And they just kill him. Jesus. I have to send it to you after this is done.
I just found it. It's good. I'll watch it after the stream.
But yeah, so yeah, we have Optimus and Ratchet lamenting that they can't really fix their friends because Jazz was basically running on E that entire fight. He was just on fumes, so he's kind of down for the count. He can't even move. And then Sparkplug says that he has an idea for how to fix that issue, but I'm honestly not sure how that gets resolved. Like, do you know how that gets resolved? Because
I think it's the dam. I think it's the dam.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Okay. I must have missed that. And then we get the iconic how do you feel about going on the offensive thing, and then the final panel is we see a very tattered Megatron stuck in some ice. We're not really
you forget we also see a really visceral picture of Thundercracker, sorry, Skywarp having his head pulled apart.
I thought he was being dragged by it.
Oh, well, yeah, being dragged by his head, which is also pulling it apart, of course, because he's so fucking battered.
True. But there are some questions that are raised by this reveal of Megatron's whereabouts, because this is his only appearance so far in the Transformers ongoing, but he also appears in the Cobra Commander miniseries in very different condition, and we're not really sure how the one leads to the other. We don't even know exactly where this ice flow is that he's stuck in. We don't know if... I mean, it obviously has to be pretty close by for Optimus to get the arm, but we don't really see how that happens or why they just leave the rest of him there.
Yeah. Something I was wondering was, like, where did they get his arm? Because was it on the Ark? Was it on the Ark when they had it?
Because it can't be, because the Decepticons own the Ark.
Or maybe they brought it with them. They were just, okay, here's a bit of Megatron, we'll take it with us.
I guess so.
Maybe
it's implying that they got it off of his corpse, in which case, why didn't they just finish the job?
They assumed he was already dead, but it remains to see how robust the average Transformer is.
Yes. Lots of questions, very few answers this issue. Still fairly enjoyable and naturally iconic.
Yeah, but Bio Dragon brings up what I assumed, which is they basically just picked it up when they were leaving. But that makes me wonder, why didn't they pick up any other Decepticon bits?
Yeah, they could have stolen Thundercracker's null rays. He wasn't alive yet.
Yeah. Maybe it was just like the first thing they grabbed.
Yeah, Garrett, hopefully the annual tells that story. That'd be nice. Megatron is on the cover of that one, so hopefully. Shall we move on to issue 5?
Sure.
All right, so issue 5 starts off with that thing I was talking about earlier, juxtaposing Sparky's and Optimus's experiences in war and how similar they are. And it's so similar that the panels are basically just traces of each other, just with Transformers and humans in the same poses, So we really get this theme continuing with this issue, and it's 2 full pages of this.
I also really like the cover of this issue.
Oh yes, it is. Honestly, I think it's the best cover of the whole series so far. Just seeing his own reflection in the fusion cannon while it's just on top of a massive pile of other guns.
Yeah, it sounds pretentious, but it does feel almost art house. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I guess so. And then, of course, after that initial scene, we see them bond a little more. Sparky and Optimus. They're definitely kindred spirits.
Mm-hmm.
And that bond is only going to continue to grow, as we'll see in issue 7. So yeah, we finally get a sort of extended scene at the Ark. It's 2 pages this time instead of just 1. Where
we also see Blaster getting killed.
Oh yeah, we do. We've also seen Beachcomber get killed in a flashback as well.
Yeah, which makes me once again think, okay, what's happening with the longevity of this comic?
Yeah. But yeah, I back on the Ark, Starscream is continuing to make enemies. We finally see Reflector and Frenzy alive, and we get the infamous panel of Starscream just kicking Ravage across the room. This will come to bite him in the ass.
Yeah, up until this point, Soundwave was just barely tolerating Starscream.
Yes. I remember that was one of the... Oh, Thundercracker's alive as well. I remember that was one of the... I think this scene was part of like the preview of this issue, so we got to see him just dig his own grave a little further. But yeah, it interesting thing is it looks like Reflector in this is just one guy because you only see the one guy and he turns into the whole camera. So it looks like they're done just making him do the 3 people thing.
Yeah, which I mean, I get why. They also do the mass shifting thing, but like that's still a fucking huge camera.
Yeah. Yeah, it's bigger than a man.
Yeah, yeah.
He's an IMAX camera.
He's an IMAX projector. But yeah. It remains to be seen how many reflectors they are. Is he a genericon or is he one guy?
Yeah, I'm fine with the one guy solution.
The one guy solution.
All right, here's a political litmus test. Are you a one robot or 3 robot solution subscriber to the reflector question? Okay, so yeah, Sparky's idea was the dam. Thank you for bringing that to my attention. I'm just illiterate sometimes.
Media literacy.
Lisan al-Gaib. And so we see them using some hydroelectric power to revive some of their comrades. Mostly just RC. It's pretty much just RC. Oh, and Wheeljack. Wheeljack, well, half of Wheeljack. He doesn't have legs. It's kind of weird that they revived RC fully before, giving topping off Jazz.
Yeah.
Considering he was already alive again.
Damn feminists.
We get a nice, and then the Decepticons attack, and we get a nice little panel where Reflector goes Gremlin mode, where he half transforms out of his camera.
Wait, where's this panel?
It's on the page where Ratchet and RC are carrying.
Yeah, when he's falling from Starscream.
Yeah, he's just going Gremlin mode.
He's a fucking camera Gerwalk.
Yeah. And then he just immediately gets obliterated by the fusion cannon. Like he's completely shattered. You see half of his face fly past Frenzy. I'm not sure what the situation is regarding the 2 tapes for Soundwave in this continuity. Is the red one Rumble or is the red one Frenzy? I'm not sure. Either way, he gets American History X'd by Optimus.
Yeah, I think they're staying ambiguous on the Cassetticon question.
It'd be pretty funny if they just never answered it.
Yeah, that would. Also, I will say something I like is that it's Reflector immediately recognizes the silhouette of Megatron's fusion cannon.
Yeah,
I like that. You wanna know why I like that? It implies that the fusion cannon has been pointed at Decepticons before.
It's definitely it's an inevitability at this point.
Yeah, like it shows that there's already, obviously, he's having a gun pointed at him, fear, but I don't know, to me it kind of felt like there's already an innate fear of the fusion cannon.
There's also just the possibility that he's seen it in use before, just in general, so he knows how powerful it is.
That too. Maybe I'm reading too deeply in. Good lord, that panel of...
I like your interpretation.
Well, thank you. Also, good lord, that fucking American History X panel.
It just gets curb stomped, except he gets like slammed. Like,
God.
But then we finally get that heinous trope of the human character going, I can fight too, and then immediately being put in danger. Even though Carly has seen for herself that regular arms can't do shit to Cybertronians.
Yeah.
She just walks out there with a pistol, facing down Thundercracker, and then she falls off the ledge, and then RC drives up the wall in her Lamborghini alt mode. which pisses me off. Not the Lamborghini alt mode, but the fact that her design is still just G1RC's character model. They didn't include any vehicle kibble. Any at all. It does.
It's in fairness, all the characters have basically been carbon copies of their G1 selves in robot mode, so it's
Like,
understandable.
But at least Optimus and Jazz look like they turn into the things they do, whereas like Ratchet and especially RC don't.
Yeah. I will say also this did throw me off at first because I was assuming this took place in the 80s. I'm like, why the hell is a fucking modern day Lamborghini in this comic? But
yeah, I think that might be the same one that Lockdown turns into in Age of Extinction.
I think it is.
Or maybe it's a Centenario, which is what Hot Rod turned into. I'm not sure. Just without the spoiler, you know. Either way, RC saves her, so now they have their own little friendship bond. What happens next? I'm just flipping through this in real time. Starscream attacks their hydropower and.
Oh, Jazz is back.
Oh, good. Yes, I've noticed. And they force the Decepticons to retreat, and they pull back all the way to the Ark. And Sparky is reminiscing about his son. Oh, his older son, Jimmy. And then the big reveal at the end is that this was a trap all along, and Starscream had the Constructicons ready to go, and the final panel is Devastator in all of his glory, facing down a very raggedy Optimus Prime.
Transformer.
This issue is a little different from the last ones because we just don't get as many cutaways. The narrative is very linear in this one as opposed to the last few issues, which when I initially bought this, I definitely felt like this issue went a little too fast. But I didn't really articulate until just now why I felt that way.
I didn't really have a problem with it. I mean, it probably did go quite fast, but I feel like at this point the story is kind of in full swing.
Yeah, issue 6, of course, is meant to be the finale of the first arc. So they're really trying to go in. And of course, not every issue has to be this long, characterful thing. Some of them can just be big action set pieces. That's fine.
Absolutely.
It was just a little weird because there was only 5 issues at this point. But now that it's more in context, it flows a little better.
I mean, that's kind of a thing with comics in general. God, when Matumti was coming out, it was so slow.
Really?
Yeah, because 50% of the issues are just talking, dude.
Oh, damn.
It's it was the nature of it, but something about Matumti was it was very, very character focused, and so yeah, some episodes nothing really actiony would happen. It would just be like guys hanging out at Swerves or something, or Rodimus having a shenanigan.
There's a place for that, of course, but I definitely prefer just this very narrative focused story we have right now.
Yeah, I mean that is kind of something you have to get used to when you get into comics. Is the release schedule is quite slow. So
yeah, 1 issue a month. You're only getting 12 issues in a year.
Yeah,
you have to rely on other series to remain interested. Yeah, it's good that there's. I believe Skybound have said that they don't intend on having any more than 4 series going on at the same time, which makes 1 issue a week, which is perfect for me. And I think there's going to be a little break between the first 2 G.I. Joe series and the next 2. So, yeah, things are a little slow. But shall we move on to issue number 6, the
Mm-hmm.
penultimate one so far, the finale of Arc 1, I believe. It frustrates me that these issues just don't have names whatsoever. They're just issue 1, issue 2, issue 3.
Well, your naming scheme has been pretty good so far.
Thank you. I'm autistic about that. Like, sometimes I make up chapter names for novels. It's that bad.
What was
And
what was chapter 1 of Dune? Oh God, the box.
That fucking box.
That fucking box.
But yeah, so let's see. Issue 6 opens where we left off, except we have Sparky basically, I guess, freezing and just seeing his son die all over again. I guess it's supposed to illustrate PTSD or something like that. Because I believe Sparky's also a war veteran. I'm not sure. I can't remember.
I think that's pretty heavily implied.
Yeah.
Nam or something like that.
Oh,
would it
no,
be
not
Nam
Nam.
at this point in time, or
Afghanistan,
would it be like Afghanistan? Dude. Yeah.
Nam
is like boomers.
Yeah, this takes place modern day, so it has to be like Afghanistan or Iraq.
Then why are they wearing green?
Maybe he likes hunting.
It was just a hunting trip that went really, really, really bad. Me and the boys going to challenge the Skinwalker.
Or maybe in this timeline we ended up going to war with Venezuela after all.
Damn.
But yeah, he snaps out of it because he has to, and they're just, the Autobots are just completely on the defensive when it comes to Devastator. They don't really have anything to get past him just yet. And Carly and Cliffjumper aren't supposed to be there, but they're trying to sneak around and see what they can do to fix the situation. And so they try sneaking into the Ark. And the Autobots are just going through the main gate. And Devastator just completely fucks up Optimus Prime. He just, like, drags him across the face of a mountain. Like, dude is, like...
That was... I really like that. I really like that panel. That's like a...
Like, you really feel the kinetic energy.
Yeah,
of that scene. Like you know how in the Trojan War Achilles dragged Hector's body behind his chariot 40 times around the city walls? Well, it's like that, except Optimus is alive.
The foreshortening of it kind of reminds me of what was the name of that one anime? The one where they're like racing. With it was like a science fiction anime where they're racing cars, and there's this one scene where there's this foreshortening of the race car going by, and like the way it's animated, it like it sort of simulates a fisheye lens, if you know what I mean.
Sure.
And it really reminded me of that. I have to look at that later, but yeah, really liked the energy of it. Definitely the right word.
It's not some kind of Initial D show, is it?
No, it wasn't Initial D. It was no, not Speed Racer. The one with the yellow car. I keep forgetting. I remember the name and I forget the name.
I have no idea. Well, we can come back to that later.
Yeah, we'll circle back if we do.
But yeah, so the Autobots finally make their way into the Ark, and we get Ratchet sacrificing his own leg just to get away from Devastator and just lock them out.
Yeah. Another good scene.
Yeah. It really shows just how much of a beating these robots can take. I like it. But while we're inside, we finally see Carly and Cliffjumper confront Starscream, and there's a lot of emotion riding on this scene because look in the panel on the slide up here, we have Carly saying, "You killed my dad," and a little funny moment. Starscream's like gloating, and then he's just confused because he doesn't know what a dad is.
What is dad?
And then of course Cliffjumper's angry because Starscream killed his entire clan, whatever that means. I'm gonna skip over what's happening in the A plot for now. We'll get back to it, but we actually see Carly find, I'm assuming, Ratchet's gun, and she's able to land a shot right in the middle of his chest, which gives Cliffjumper an opening to kill him, and he doesn't.
Oh, another trope that really frustrates me, personally.
Oh, BioDragon suggested the anime may be Redline?
I think it is Redline.
Yeah, and
yeah, it's Redline. It's Redline.
Cliffjumper pussies out with the worst possible reason. He says, I thought this is what I wanted, but he killed your entire... I know, Carly. I'm tired of it. All of it.
I fucking hate that. I hate the fucking revenge bad plotline in every fucking piece of media these days.
If I do it, I'll be as bad as him. No, revenge is good, actually.
No, yeah, unironically, revenge is good. Revenge is an evolutionary adaptation so that we take care of things that are dangerous to other people.
Yeah. Like imagine if fucking Gary Plauché didn't mark that guy in the fucking Baton Rouge airport.
Good example, yes. But it's like, he knows Starscream is violent. He knows Starscream is going to like continue to be the way he is. This isn't like shooting. This isn't like shooting the fucking camp guard 50 years later. He is actively trying to kill people. If you shoot him now, he will not be able to do that. This isn't just about revenge. This is about taking care of an actual threat in a war. You have been at war for how many years now?
Let's compare this to an actually like good revenge story that ends up with the character not taking revenge, and that's that episode of like fucking Avatar.
Yeah, that's
where
exactly
Katara
what I was
goes
thinking
after
of.
that guy who killed her mom and finds him. He's just completely like pathetic, like in real life, and she just sort of takes like this disgusted pity on him. And is like, no, killing you won't even bring me any satisfaction. You're just a worm. Yeah, exactly. The Southern Raiders. That was a really good episode.
That was an excellent episode, and it's an example of an actually good revenge story that ends in not actually taking the revenge, because
especially when you saw just how fucking hard she went after that revenge, because in the middle of the episode, she just bloodbends without even giving it a second thought. When every other instance, she's like conflicted over it.
Mm.
Anyway, that's another story.
Yeah, but it's really fucking frustrating in this regard, because it's like that situation with TLO2, where it's like, you have killed how many people up to this point, and now the person who, yeah, exactly. You've killed how many people up to this point, but now the one person who has personally wronged you, that's where you draw the line.
Yeah, like all the other people don't matter because they're just mooks. But if I kill the big bad guy, I'm just as bad as they are. I don't want to stoop to their level. God damn, it pisses me off. And honestly, so like next issue, we see that Carly is basically like Cliffjumper's basically dead to her, and I'm exaggerating a little bit, like I would react the same way too.
Yeah, I would as well.
Cliffjumper's choice was objectively wrong here.
Absolutely.
And it put fucking Carly in danger herself. The entire point was that they would work together to kill Starscream, and then Cliffjumper just pussies out at the last moment and puts Carly's life in danger for no reason. All because he feels bad. Like, Starscream immediately grabs her and starts crushing her fucking legs. Like, honestly, if she wasn't the main character, she would be dead in an instant.
Yeah. Starscream would have just gone for the kill shot, because funny.
Honestly, probably the only reason he's holding back is because he knows Cliffjumper cares about her and wants to make them both suffer as long as possible because he's just that much of a sadist.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, a really weak moment from Cliffjumper.
Really, a lapse in the writing, honestly.
I think they're doing it just to create some tension and drama between the two of them and make some conflict that'll get resolved later on, but it's still frustrating to deal with.
I'll be willing to forgive the writers for this if they come out on the side of Carly and Cliffjumper's like, yeah, okay, I realized that it probably was really stupid what I did, but I have the feeling they're going to have it go the opposite direction, and Carly's going to be like, okay, you were right, revenge is bad.
Yeah.
Like, God.
Yeah. God. I wholeheartedly agree.
Modern writing.
I will say though, this is probably the only like major problem so far in the whole run. Everything else, at least, is pretty good.
That one scene made me audibly groan.
Yeah. So yeah, let's go back to the A plot where we get a very, very heavy-handed homage to the death of Optimus Prime from the 1986 film.
It's not as bad as Megatron and Megatron Optimus Prime directly quoting the film at the end of 07.
Yeah, I'm just glad they didn't do it again.
Yeah.
But to be fair, 2007 is a different thing. That was Transformers' first big cultural touchstone moment in ages, so like they had to get it out of the way. I'll forgive that. But just this, okay. So I'll preface this by saying I do like this scene. But I'm just gonna bitch a little beforehand. I am so tired of dick riding the 1986 film. I'm so tired of it. I'm over it. I'm really over it. Like, sure, the 86 film probably made Transformers what it is. Without it, it probably would have just been a fad. But
it would have been, without it probably would have just been like He-Man and G.I. Joe, and probably would have
Thundercats, shit like that, where like they come back every decade or so, but but like, can we just stop with the never-ending self-referential bullshit? Like I really did pick the right word when I said dick riding, because that's what it is. It's just jacking itself off, in front of all of us, in front of all the children. Yeah. But I have to say, this issue did it pretty well. I do like how they executed this homage, even though I am tired of homages in general.
And usually it's homaging like the first 2/3 of the movie. Probably
because they are fighting Devastator right outside.
Yeah, probably because like half the people who saw that movie left before the second 2/3.
Yeah. But again, using that god-awful phrase I hate to use, subverting expectations. They actually changed the scene in a meaningful way where like it's like one of those changes where like it doesn't mean that much in the context of the thing, but noticing how it changed from the origin, from what it's homaging, makes it more significant, because in the original scene, Prime, as he's dying on the bed, he drops the Matrix and it's caught by Hot Rod, and that signifies he's the chosen one, and he's the future of the Autobots and shit like that. Whereas in this scene, you see here on this slide, it just falls to the floor, and that just makes the scene feel like that simple change shifts the tone entirely from one of hope to one of hopelessness.
You know what? I didn't think of that before, but that is actually a really good point.
Yeah, it's like I really hate to use subverting expectations, but it does this series does it well. This is the poster child for like what you should do with that. You take things that are significant and you change them to be significant in a different way.
Yeah.
it's meaningful. It's not change for change's sake. It's just like you're using the visual language of the franchise to say something different, to say the opposite of what the original was saying, without like being disrespectful or anything. It's just like oh, that's what this means now.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm getting worse and worse at explaining this.
No, I get what you mean. It's you're using the visual language, in a way. You're making references that affect the appropriate to the scene, because the whole thing is, the difference between it is Rodimus catches the Matrix, and you have this whole scene that that is sort of the starting point for Rodimus being the chosen one, the one who's going to take up the mantle from Optimus Prime. When it just slams and hit the floors,
eliminate even the toughest stains.
when it lands on the floor,
there's no one to pick it up.
There's no one. If Optimus is done, the whole thing's done. It's over. It's Jover.
It's Jover. But then we get how the scene progresses from here is just downright weird. We get Sparkplug, or I guess I should really just call him Sparky. He sacrifices himself by stepping into the Matrix. It's like into the crystal, except it's more like a goo.
It's like a core thing.
Yeah.
I mean, I get it.
It's like a portal to God.
Yeah. It's,
I'm of two minds about it, because I don't like the scene, but I like where it leads.
I don't mind it, because obviously it was never established that this sort of thing could happen.
Yeah, I just think it's a little too out there,
Yeah,
but also... my disbelief I can't suspend my disbelief that much.
I mean,
but
for me,
I'll just hear them out, because they are taking this to interesting places. So maybe in time I'll be able to forgive it.
It's my main issue is how would Spike, the Sparkplug, Sparky, even know to do this? But I suppose there's this idea of a holy calling. He just knew.
Yeah, like he heard the voice of God tell him to step into the hole, the robo hole.
Sparkplug, you must step into the blue goo. You must become one with the Gatorade.
BioDragon says, I think they needed some hinting that the Matrix could take in mass to make energy, like in sucking in some leaves or something and glowing slightly brighter after. I mean, there is a real life, E equals MC squared and all that, so that technically makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose the idea is if it can give life, it can take it as well. But I
thought kinting was just some word I didn't know the definition of. My bad.
But yeah, I think it's less so mass as it is like
maybe it has to be like living.
Yeah,
matter.
That's my assumption. It's like life energy type thing.
Chi.
Yeah, because I think Sparky's sacrifice would not have made nearly as much of an impact if the same thing could have been achieved by dropping a couple rocks into it.
Yeah. Imagine that's all he had to do.
Spark's like, wait, what? My dad served the purpose that could have been done by some dirt.
I could have pissed into this thing to bring the same result. But yeah, not to last too long on this, but it apparently does the job to and we get, the touch moment. We literally get an onomatopoeia that says, "You know the song." So we know the song, and he just goes to town on Devastator in some really cool action scenes. And he like lures Devastator on top of a hill, and then he just sort of like fucking throws him off the side of it.
Oh shit! I didn't notice that you know the song now. Fuck.
It was a big rock. That is a nice boulder. And so the A plot and the B plot get resolved by Optimus throwing Devastator off the hill, and it just so happens to land on top of Starscream, who just so happens to let go of Carly, who just so happens to be caught by the cliff jumper. It's a little contrived, probably the weakest resolution to any issue so far, but it's serviceable enough. And then in the denouement, we get this really nice scene with Soundwave and Optimus, where Optimus offers him an olive branch. He's basically like, come work with us. We'll bury the hatchet if you'll help us bring down Starscream. And you think he might do it. You think he might do it just from how shitty Starscream has been treating him and his friends. But but Soundwave doesn't have it.
Okay, I've just noticed something. Am I allowed to go autism mode again?
Yes.
Okay, so Soundwave is being caught by what we're assuming is Thundercracker, right?
Yes.
Thundercracker appears to be. They appear like for the reference they used for Thundercracker. I don't know if this is a canon thing or if this is just the one reference, but they used an F-14. You can tell from the back.
It was probably just an oversight, I imagine.
Yeah, F-14, F-15, easy mistake to make, I suppose. But yeah, you can tell from the way the engines are so far apart, and the back of the plane tapers to a point.
Yeah. But yeah, BioDragon says, I appreciate that you can see he considers it for that little bit.
Yeah.
Like he's carrying Ravage's conked out body, and he's looking at him, and like you can clearly tell he cares about Ravage and wants what's best for Ravage.
Yeah.
But he still chooses the Decepticon side.
You can definitely tell that he's having a moment of introspection. He's thinking, man, Starscream's a fucking prick. Do I really want to work for that guy?
Yeah, and that, not to get too far ahead, but that really does play into the next issue.
It does make me wonder, though, what is the source of the animosity between Autobots and Decepticons in this setting?
Yeah, that's a really good question.
What caused the split? That is, I'm not sure if they're going to get into that, but I would be interested to know what is the source of the sheer hatred between the Autobots and the Decepticons at this point. Primarily the Decepticons towards the Autobots, it appears. Though obviously not entirely.
Because obviously Optimus is willing to forgive Soundwave for whatever he's done.
Yeah.
Oh god, I hope it's not Functionism.
Functionism was all right in IDW.
Yeah, but I don't want them to do the same thing twice.
That's true. I mean, when they mention the clans thing, it almost makes me think that it brings up your idea of it being an ethnic conflict.
Yeah, or like a political one, like two different polities fighting out. Like they're two different nations.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's really not much left to talk about for this issue other than on the final page. I never really considered this. The Optimus's parting words to Soundwave is "Until next time, Decepticon." I wonder what the I don't know, that Considering he was calling Soundwave by name earlier. Like, yeah, he said, Soundwave, wait, please, let us be done with this. Let us find a way to save our home together. Soundwave says no with his fist. And Optimus says, make no mistake, Soundwave, I desire peace, but I am no fool. Soundwave flies off, and Optimus says, until next time, Decepticon. I feel like there's like a lot of significance in that line.
Yeah. It appears to be him basically.
Maybe it's just him acknowledging that Soundwave is not going to change.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. It's like, it's him. We haven't seen their relationship prior to this significantly, but it shows to me, it sort of shows a change of mindset that Optimus might be going through.
Yeah, like maybe he's just telling himself he's not gonna offer it again.
Yeah.
Next time they meet, it's for keeps.
Yeah, he is a Decepticon. That is what he is. He's not Soundwave. He's a Decepticon.
Yeah. Ooh, I
if
like
that makes
this.
Any sense.
I like this. We're just noticing shit that we didn't pick up on the first couple times we read these. But of course, yeah, the issue ends shortly thereafter with Spike waking up and asking where his dad is at the hospital. So that brings us to the most recent issue from April, issue number 7, Starscream Triumphant, or so he would like to think. It opens actually with I guess in media res. Sort of. There's a battle still going on Cybertron. I'm assuming this is current because, I'm assuming Elita 1's about to go to Earth fair in a few issues' time or something. And we see her with Warpath, Huffer, and Cup, and they're just under really heavy fire. We see Huffer just absolutely get blown up to shit. We see fucking Cup get JFK'd. And Warpath blows up too.
Yeah.
And then they're searching for someone, and when they find this really tattered corpse that's like, I guess, strung up in a basement somewhere, and all she can say is, what have they done to you?
I'm assuming it's Ultra Magnus.
Yeah, that's my idea as well. I think it might be Magnus because, like, one of the covers is RC and Magnus doesn't show up anywhere else in the issue.
Well, so. He does show up at one point in the issue, actually.
Oh, does he?
In a flashback.
Oh, yes. Sorry, I've only read this one once, so.
So have I. I do love that face that she does. That's like a really visceral cringe.
Yeah, like that is the face of abject horror.
I'm surprised like nobody uses that as a reaction image.
No one likes Elita 1.
Damn.
But then we get So then we get this notification that the U.S. military is on guard for robots, probably because they can't, probably because of what Duke's going through at this point in time. We'll see. I know what happens to to this ship in the next issue from the preview, and that's not good. Do we actually have any? I'm assuming that's an aircraft carrier. Do we have any that have a
carrier? Yes.
Do we actually have aircraft carriers that have ramps?
Yeah, all aircraft. Okay, so what you mean, like the bit at the front that like goes up?
Yeah, my general mental image of an aircraft carrier is perfectly flat.
I actually think that's a Russian design.
Yeah, I'm aware Russians and Chinese, the Russian and Chinese navies have ramped carriers.
And the reason they do that is, I think the reason they do that is because that helps them be able to take off with a shorter takeoff time.
Yeah.
It reduces the length of the takeoff.
And we just don't spec into that because we don't really need to.
Yeah, you just build them fucking huge and power them with nuclear engines.
We build a ship the size of Texas because we can.
I mean, why not?
True. So then we find that the Decepticons are hiding out in a volcano or something. And we finally get a proper challenge to Starscream's power. He fucking Starscream just fucking punts Rumble. And
Yeah.
really
The blue one.
that's the like he's punted Rumble, he's punted Ravage, and I'm pretty sure he's done something to Laserbeak too. And so now Soundwave has just had enough of it. Their plan didn't work. Starscream's been in charge the whole time, and nothing, and they're worse off than where they started. So
Genuinely, Starscream's a fucking retard in this.
yeah, absolutely. He's delusional too. He's let the
He-
power go to his head and is just blind to his own failings.
He thinks that he thinks he commands the same sort of respect as Megatron, so he thinks he can just abuse others with impunity. But
No, he thinks that is what makes Megatron a good leader.
is that he
He
abuses
sees
with impunity.
Megatron do that sometimes, but more than likely Megatron only does it when people deserve it, or quote unquote deserve it. And
I was gonna say,
like Megatron doesn't like do it for shits and giggles like Starscream does.
yeah.
Like he does it as like a genuine punishment for failure.
If I had to overanalyze, Megatron is leader because Megatron abuses other Decepticons, or punishes them in that way because that's how he keeps his power. Starscream wants that power so he can do it to others.
Yes, absolutely. He's like a fucking he is a soy jack. he is the soy jack. But yeah, this scene was given out as like a preview, or at least the first 2 pages of it, without text bubbles. So we really got to, like, just from all their body language, you can see the Decepticons turning on Starscream, and Soundwave finally formally challenges him for power.
Oh fuck! What's the Freeman ritual?
I don't remember what it's called, but I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I was thinking that reminded me of that.
Yeah. And then you just see Soundwave just fucking shoot Starscream in the shoulder, and just like really give it to him. He like he caves his face in, and he like just kicks him in the kidneys. And oh god. And of course Starscream's not giving up. And of course he tries to snivel his way out of it. This is immediately after he gets his eye pecked out by Laserbeak. He says, "I'm willing to forgive this betrayal." He's trying to stop it, even though he knows he can't win. He's like, "Stop it! If you just stop it, I'll let you go." When he's in no position to make that sort of demand at all. And then, God, my favorite line in this issue is Soundwave just leering over him, saying, "You kicked my Ravage."
Oh, you kick a motherfucker's cat. You're a cat owner, Kit. I'm sure you can understand.
If someone kicked my cat, they would not leave my house alive.
Exactly. I am not a cat owner, but I am a dog owner, and if someone kicked my dog, I would not let them leave there without at least
They're gonna donate a couple teeth.
Yeah, I'm gonna donate a couple teeth to the local dentistry.
Yeah. But obviously Soundwave wins the fight handily, which really makes me wonder why he didn't do it earlier.
That was what I was wondering from the beginning. Like, why didn't Soundwave do this earlier? Soundwave obviously knew what Starscream's intentions were. He knew that Starscream was a bad leader. Like, was there something?
Maybe he just has a sense of duty, and this was his breaking point.
Yeah, I suppose that is it. He was trying to be stoic. He was trying to be like, okay, he is the technical number 2. We'll follow the chain of command for now. I'll go with procedure till Megatron comes back.
Yeah.
But now he's just done. He's just done.
Yeah.
He does not care anymore. He wants this motherfucker
and luckily
gone.
luckily for him, everyone else feels the same way too.
Yeah.
Because as soon as the fight's over, they all bend the knee and chant his name, and Soundwave is now the leader of the Decepticons.
Mahadib!
Muad'Dib!
Mahadib!
Lisan al-Gaib!
Lisan al-Gaib!
The Mahdi. And this scene, this entire sequence is just brilliant. It's one of my favorite scenes in the whole run so far. Just seeing Soundwave, seeing Starscream get his just desserts, and Soundwave take what's rightfully his. But I think that's the last. Yeah, that's the last we see of the Decepticons for this issue, and that's fine because the rest we get Carly dealing with the consequences of what happened in issue 6. She's taking her frustrations out on some cans at 100 yards. And RC goes over there to cheer her up, which actually works a little bit. They seem to be bonding a little. So, friendship ended with Cliffjumper. Now RC is my best friend.
It is funny to me, just a little aside, it's funny to me the way she's designed. It looks like she's wearing a crop top.
Oh, she is. She's been wearing one for the whole... Well, it's also like a sweater. I don't really know what's going on with it, but...
No, but you can see the pink between her torso, chest, and then
oh yeah, it's like elastic. Oh, you meant RC.
Yeah, I meant RC, not Carly.
Oh. They have a similar fashion sense.
I never get like the whole idea of a crop top sweater. That just sounds... I'm not a woman, so I have no clue, but like that just sounds very inconvenient. It's either
unorthodox thermal regulation.
You're too hot on the top, but then you're too hot. You're either too hot on the top or too cold on the bottom. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
It looks cute, but like, I don't know. Like I said,
anyway, I really like the juxtaposition of the very fiery volcano scene where Soundwave is just killing Starscream, and then the very bright and colorful scene of RC and Carly bonding. It really... Okay, not to go back to the 86 movie a lot, but it really reminds me of the juxtaposition between the attack on the Autobot shuttle and then immediately fading into Hot Rod and Daniel fishing. There's a definite parallel there.
Oh, I hate how people reference the movie so much, guys.
Fuck off. Fuck off.
I'm just ribbing you.
You're what?
Ribbing you.
Oh.
What do you think I said?
It sounded like you said a word with a lot more M's in it than B's.
Oh. No.
So yeah, we see Ultra Magnus in a little flashback here. So yeah, that probably is him in such a sorry state at the beginning.
Yeah. I love that face that RC has in that. She looks like a really... it looks funny to me. It's like she's a really pissed off teen or something. You know what I mean? Like
I think it's implied that she's supposed to be like a crying child in this scene.
I know.
Like it took place a really long time ago.
That's probably what they're going for, but that face just makes me think.
Oh yeah, like in the text box right above her, it says, "My clan was killed during the siege of Cybertron when I was very young. Magnus saved me. He was the one that taught me how to shoot, how to fight." So yeah, she was basically a kid.
Interesting, they say the siege of Cybertron, like the whole planet was getting sieged.
Yeah, maybe it was like maybe like the Decepticons were like on the moons and they just blockaded the planet or something.
Maybe. I mean,
maybe the war itself on Cybertron isn't very important and the details don't matter.
I mean, I'd like to know.
Yeah,
it sounds like they're setting up for stuff.
Yeah.
Maybe in the future.
Yeah, hopefully.
It's not it's not particularly important right now. It's just an interesting detail.
But yeah, so now we get we really jump perspectives a lot in this issue. We have like 4 different like little vignettes going on here.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe even more than that. Where Cliff Jumper is feeling really bad about not killing Starscream.
Rightfully
Jazz says,
so.
"It's all right, Cliff. There's no shame in not pulling a trigger, even in war." And Cliff Jumper just says, "Then why do I feel this way?"
Which is bullshit, by the way.
It is bullshit.
Pardon me. Especially in war. That's Anyway, we've had that rant.
But yeah, Optimus and Ratchet pick Spike up from the hospital, and Spike and Carly are now both orphans, so that's fun. And we get while Optimus is driving them back to the base, he gets this flash image of Spike as a baby, and him specifically holding Spike as a baby. So when I said I really didn't like the scene where Sparky walked into the Matrix, but I like where it was leading up to, this is what I'm talking about. Optimus is seeing Sparkplug's memories, and he's
becoming the Kwisatz Haderach.
Convoy Haderach. But it just reminds me of that talk that he and Spike had all the way back in issue 2 about what family means. Like, he didn't understand what a dad was, but now that Sparkplug is one with the Matrix, he can understand that and like know what it means to be human, almost. And I really like where this is going, and I hope they really explore it more, because this is a really interesting thing for them to do.
No, yeah, I totally agree. I like the direction this is going. I am interested to see it will be interesting to see like how Optimus Prime sort of, I don't know, acclimates to having I'm assuming that Sparkplug's memories is going to slowly flow into his mind. And it's going to become that he sort of has like the entire experience of a human's life in his mind.
I honestly don't even know where it could go, but I'm excited to see where it does. But yeah, we see Skywarp has remained part of Teletran 1. They can't really get him out yet. And he's being a bit of a jackass. So they're unable to fix themselves as fast as they would like to. But yeah, the issue ends with Optimus stealing his resolve and promising to give the Decepticons what for.
Doing the Putin walk into the base.
Yeah. And that is how the series so far ends.
I will say one last thing. The fact that they kept Jetfire's parts, Jet Power Optimus Prime.
Ooh, that'll be... Oh my god, can we get a G1 Jet convoy? That would be amazing.
Ooh.
But yeah, that is a wrap on the issues that are currently out so far. What have you thought about what's your opinion on the run?
I would like to see someone do the math and look at what the lethality of this comic is versus the Marvel comic.
I imagine well, considering this comic only has like 10 characters, I imagine Marvel has them far and away beat.
Well, you could average it.
What, per issue?
Yeah, per issue. Kit not understanding per capita.
Oh, fuck you. No, it's still like you have issues in Marvel where like dozens of characters. The fucking Underbase alone would just drive that average way up.
True, true. Like half the characters like wiki profiles for the Marvel characters end with, and then he was killed by Starscream.
Yeah. So like even on a per issue average, I'd still give it to Marvel. Skybound has the body horror, but Marvel has the body count.
Anyway, I'm enjoying it so far. I wasn't expecting to enjoy it as much as I was.
Yeah, this isn't the first time I tried giving an ongoing Transformers series a shot. I did try to keep up with IDW 2019 when it was new, but just could not get into it.
Yeah, it was really slow. Nothing really happened.
Yeah, whereas in this one, shit, a lot's happening, and almost all of it's great.
Yeah, yeah.
The characters are really well written, and I really like some of the relationships forming between some of them. Like again, I love the dynamic between Carly and Cliffjumper, and I think they're this universe's version of Spike and Bumblebee.
Yeah, yeah. I hope they can get that stuff resolved between them.
Yeah.
I would also hope that they do it in a way that isn't really annoying. I swear
Yeah.
to God, if Carly isn't vindicated, I will be mad. I will not be happy.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised though.
I would not be surprised, but I also would not be happy about it.
So before we finally wrap up, let's answer our second question from Sandworm Enthusiast. Do you think in this new universe they can introduce new characters or factions unseen from the normal? On Discord, he mentioned stuff like the Star Seekers and stuff like that. I think there's I think there's plenty of room for whatever characters they want to add to this. Because I mean, you know, they have Void Rivals. You get Quintessons, you get Springer in the next issue. They just have a whole. You have the fucking Skuxoid in like issue 2, and you know, there's the Transformers universe is big, and the Energon universe specifically has a lot of unexplored territory. So yeah, well, let's just see how it goes.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, it's early days.
Yes.
Right now, you know, we're like fucking 8 issues in, 7 issues in. You know, I think they're doing the right thing, just focusing on the Autobots and Decepticons for now. But absolutely, if this comic goes on for a while, I can absolutely see them going in the direction of looking at other factions, maybe. I mean, the Star Seekers in particular, like, it makes sense that there would be pirates / privateers, you know, in this, if the scale of the war is what we have been shown, what it has been implied to be.
Yeah.
Heralds of Unicron, I'm not so sure about. But you know,
it'd be kind of nice to have a universe without Unicron for once.
It would be. We'll give it time. As far as new characters, does he mean like brand new characters or characters who haven't appeared in the G1 continuity?
I'm assuming brand new characters like OCs, Skybound OCs.
I mean, okay. Here's the thing. IDW introduced so many OCs, and it's like, I kind of feel like we have enough. I feel like we have enough comic OCs for now. I feel like there are enough Transformers characters to work with at this point in time that we don't really need OCs, you know?
Yeah. Really, I would just prefer they introduce characters not from G1.
That is, yeah, I was going to suggest that. That was my other, that was the other thing I was going to suggest.
Like, what if they included, like, fucking Overhaul from Cybertron?
My suggestion...
Just as a guy.
Yeah.
He's just there.
My suggestion was going to be Lugner.
Yeah, that he would fit in pretty well.
Yeah. Lugner.
Yeah, he said it could be characters not explored before. But yeah, I'm really open to anything, just as long as it's good.
Yeah, pretty much. It entirely depends. At the end of the day, it's not the concept that's important; it's the execution.
Yeah. But yeah, that seems like it's a wrap on the first 7 issues of Skybound's Transformers. I thought this episode was fairly successful, and I thought this was a very fun walkthrough of the series so far. I would love to do this again, just not as a proper episode, just more of a if we revisit comics again, it'll be in a pre-recorded extracurricular.
Probably. But I'd be happy to like keep doing like issue recaps.
Yeah,
that'd be fun.
I think maybe next time we do one of these, we should do like maybe the first 6 of Void Rivals or something.
Yeah,
talk about something completely or almost completely removed from Transformers.
Yeah. I will say, I was not expecting to have as much to say about it as I did.
Yeah. We talked for 2.5 hours almost. I wasn't expecting. I was expecting like an hour maybe.
Yeah. I
was expecting to be lost most of the time, but I don't even have notes. I don't have a single note in front of me.
Neither did I. I was just gonna go. I was expecting to just go off what you and ID were talking about.
Yeah, I was expecting IdArmed to be doing most of the talking too. I am honestly impressed with myself for keeping on topic so well. I'm not usually like this. I'm usually a scatterbrain. But yeah, this was great fun. Stick around next month where we will be discussing a short history of the various crossovers that Transformers have undertaken, as well as a sort of wish list of ours for what crossovers we would like to see if we had absolute power and infinite resources.
And a complete lack of any sort of copyright law.
Yes. Like, just assume everything goes right for us.
Mm-hmm.
So, Shar, do you have any homework assignments for our esteemed pupils?
I didn't actually think of any.
I'm sorry I put you on the spot like that. Okay, homework for next month. I want a book report of the first 6 issues of Skybound on my desk. You need 500 words at least, and you need to cite at least 4 sources, MLA format. Class dismissed.